All right, so I am here with David Sauvage,
What's up?
the empath, right?
Yep.
And we just got out of the Assemblage, which is a co-working space here in New York City where I work and I have a practice out of there. I'm a member there. And I practice there my body therapy work, kinetic body therapy. And
Do you do that at the assemblage itself?
I do.
What room do you use?
I use a conference room upstairs. On the 7th floor, I rent a conference room. It has curtains. I close
Oh,
it and I
wow.
set up a treatment table and I do work
I
there.
didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want them to have a whole floor dedicated to healers.
I do too. I've been discussing that with them. Maybe we can both
Yeah.
talk to them about that.
Yeah. That would be a way of walking the walk and not just talking the talk.
Yes.
Oh, we're a co-working space around healing and spirituality, but we have 9 floors that look like IKEA.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's all like entrepreneurs and offices. But what about like actually doing body therapy work and body centered therapy things? Because I feel like there's a lot of talk around consciousness and a lot of conversations, and it's all like consciousness. It's all like mind, energy. But what about the body and working with the body? I feel like there's just there's no body work in the assemblage, and there's meditation, there's the Kundalini yoga, there's which is more it's less physical because I get it, there's no showers and they can't have like yoga, they don't have a yoga
Well,
space.
another way to say it might be
yeah.
that the assemblage is not yet embodied, and thus there is no body work at the assemblage.
Yes.
It's really that simple.
Yeah. Agreed. So we just left the assemblage and we were at a Gabor Mate talk. Is it Gabor or Gabor?
Oh God, he cares a lot, so
I
I don't want to screw it up.
I don't want to screw it up.
Gabor.
One of those. Gabor. I think it's Gabor.
Damn it.
And
I feel horrible about that.
me too. That's why I brought it up, because I was like, I just want to make sure that it's landing for him too. And so we were chatting at the end, and they needed a ride home, and I said, hey, I'll give you guys a ride. So we just gave a ride to Gabor and his wife, and we had a lovely conversation here in the car, discussing the talk tonight. It was a very interesting talk, and we were talking about trauma, and I asked him some questions. Do you want to talk a little bit about that too?
You asked him. First of all, it's amazing that he is such a fan of Mr. Mate that you drove him home today. That was
Yeah.
You manifested that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I hopped on the bandwagon. I'm not usually a bandwagon hopper, but you happened to be driving to my hood, and I felt compelled to continue my conversation with Mr. Mate. So I took it as a sign that it was okay that I jumped in. But you asked a beautiful question, which is, how do we make healing go beyond the people who can afford it? How do we get this out into the mainstream? And Mr. Mate said that he drew your attention to your body. He said, what do you feel when you ask that question? And you said discomfort. And he was asking you to get into the source of your discomfort, and that from that place the answer might emerge. And then his wife did not like that answer and said it was inadequate to the question, that lots of people had been asking versions of that question to him, and that she wanted a deeper answer. And then he said that, well, capitalism's the damn problem, and until you fix capitalism, you can't have mass healing. And then she said, no, we just have to encourage people to feel their feelings and care about themselves and not reject any part of themselves. And then I chimed in with the idea that actually none of that's true, and that we're exactly at the place where we can handle being right now, and the culture is just not yet built to process the level of trauma that there is to process. So it's unfolding just as it needs to, and we don't need mass healing. Mass healing will arise as its own phenomenon when there are containers that can hold the trauma that is underneath.
And I absolutely agree with that, and I love the way that he so eloquently said that. And I really feel like I love it when people express what I feel, but I can't always articulate it. And so I feel like David does a really good job at that. And it was just really interesting. I had a lovely evening today, and I think this is a really great conversation to be having. Is like, how can we help more people heal from trauma, but at the same time, are we ready to heal from trauma? And then a conversation we were having a moment earlier is how I personally escape from, healing my trauma and feeling my pain with dancing and movement, and using that as a coping mechanism, because Gabor talks about how we are all using, addiction as a coping mechanism for dealing with our pain and our trauma from our childhood, because most of us have been traumatized from our childhood. And so I love that whole idea. And so I was just talking about how I use movement as a form of coping mechanism, and that doesn't even feel right to me, because I'm still distracting myself and avoiding feeling my pain. But then, David, you were mentioning about how, isn't it better to do that than alcohol or drugs, right? So there is, and to do that in a way that maybe I'm not ready to heal the trauma,
right.
and to deal with the pain. You want to talk about that
exactly.
for a minute?
I think to add a new thought, it's so the part of you that feels compelled to heal your trauma, that impulse is coming from trauma in you. So there's like a deep sense of inadequacy that's like, I need to heal, I need to face my trauma, I need to work through all this stuff. And that energy has a poking quality and actually causes the retraction of the traumatized child that you are seeking to heal. The retraction of the traumatized child is the healthy thing. It is the healthy reaction to this poking energy. So until that energy can lessen, some of those traumas are not yet ready to release. I'm not blaming you for this, and I'm also not blaming you for this. They're both part of a natural process. And to the extent that you can be conscious of the fact that you're using coping mechanisms to avoid feeling pain, I would suggest that certain coping mechanisms are healthier than others. Heroin is a particularly common and bad one, as it can result in death. Alcohol is bad, but not as bad, as it's less likely to result in death, but it's still pretty bad. Movement and dance is not nearly as bad. It can actually result in some physical health, but it can wear out your body if you are not attuned to the body's needs and you're just trying to relieve pain. But and on up the scale, until eventually you're ready to heal. And it's not linear. Like the healing happens whenever it wants to happen. But I here's where I part ways with almost everyone, which is that I don't think we have a choice over when we heal our trauma. So I don't think there's anything we can do to make it go faster or slower, or it's just it's a natural process. It's like you break your arm. You can do things to set the arm better or worse. Like the cast can be better or not. You can go to a better doctor or not, but no amount of yelling at your arm is going to make it heal faster. Same thing with trauma, says David.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think it's about organically allowing that to arise. And I think where I get
amen,
and I think also where I think it's important, big thing I talk about a lot on my Instagram, for instance, and all that, in my social media, is that how it's important to for those people who have pain, and for those people who are dealing with pain, to actually sit with it and feel it, because a lot of people don't. So I think that's where the true healing lies. But it's not, but you want to stay away from the whole idea of I need to heal my trauma, right? Because that's a big thing that's happening now, is people, I need to heal my trauma.
But that's that urge is often coming from a sense of a sense of unworthiness, that something's wrong with them because they're not healed. It's something's wrong with you because you're not in shape, something's wrong with you because you're not making a lot of money, and now something's wrong with you because you're not healed. And that's a really unhealthy approach to healing. And what you're saying about feeling pain, yes, the path to healing does go through the allowance of your underlying emotional experience to be felt, but not to the point where it's unbearable. If you push yourself to feel pain to the point when it's unbearable, it's re-traumatizing, and you're going to cause a retrenchment of the trauma, which is right. Trauma is what happens when the pain becomes so unbearable that the psyche compartment, the nervous system compartmentalizes it and puts it over there. So if it once again is made unbearable, then you're going to dissociate again, and that wall between you and your trauma is going to get thicker, not thinner. And so you want to experience as much of the pain as you are capable of holding within yourself compassionately. So, okay, if you're I'm in pain, I can deal. here I am, okay, I got this, then you are making progress. If you're like, I need to feel this pain, I'm going to feel it, then you are not making progress, you are regressing.
Agreed. We're going to leave you on that.
Trauma talk, yo.
Yeah, trauma talk, yo. That was great. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Please check out David Sauvage, Empath. I'm going to tag him below.
Instagram, Empath NYC.
Empath NYC. And then subscribe to both of our YouTubes if you have a YouTube.
If you can find it. I'm working on it. I'm somewhere in there. I'll put this up there.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And remember, chill a little bit more, you know, and take some of these words into consideration. And what do you want to leave them with?
Healing is cool.
Healing is cool. Yeah, I like that.
All right.
All right, thanks, guys. Peace out.
Ciao.